The Collin County Sheriff's Office is investigating an alleged doxing of a judge in the deadly Frisco stabbing case. There's been a lot of racial tension on social media since the murder of Austin Metcalf. The 17-year-old suspect, Karmelo Anthony, was released on house arrest with a reduced bond. Investigators are now looking at reports that a judge who reduced that bond was targeted online. Fox 4's Stephen Dial is in studio with more on that. Stephen.
Steve, doxing is when someone publishes a person's private information, like their home address, with malicious intent. The judge who reduced Karmelo Anthony's bond is now allegedly having that happen to her. Judge Angela Tucker recently reduced bond for 17-year-old murder suspect Karmelo Anthony. Anthony's bond was originally set at $1 million, and Tucker reduced it, saying that the bond was set too high for a person with no criminal history. Austin Metcalf was stabbed in the chest during a dispute over bleacher seating at a track meet on April 2nd. The crime has made national news, and the topic has become a racially tense subject. Collin County investigators told us court and staff concerned and citizens reported that people are posting the judge's address on social media. Collin County is working with the FBI to monitor any concerning rhetoric or propaganda that could incite violence. I talked to former Dallas County Assistant District Attorney Russell Wilson about this case.
Certain information is publicly available, but judges, individuals in law enforcement do have a statute that allows them to remove some of their information from being publicly available. And so publication of that information with the intent to cause harm or for them to get a threat is a crime in Texas.
Is that kind of something that is probably more prevalent nowadays because we have so much technology at our disposal? I doubt 15, 20 years ago, something like this was something officers investigated often.
I think you've definitely seen an uptick in threats and the publication of private information as it relates to judicial and law enforcement officials, not only here in Collin County or in Dallas area, but also nationwide.
Wilson said law enforcement have seen an uptick in threats and the publication of private information as it relates to judicial and law enforcement officials. We don't know how many actual cases Collin County is looking into. The sheriff's office said their priority is to ensure the judge's safety. It's still very early in the criminal case, even though Judge Tucker made the bond reduction ruling. It's not clear if she will end up being the judge who presides over the criminal trial. Steve, those judges are selected at random.
Okay, all right. Stephen Dial in studio, thank you very much. A Houston family is grieving after a 28-year-old woman was shot and killed in downtown Dallas. Ashley Long was murdered earlier this month. Kendrick Finch is accused of murdering her and shooting a friend she was with at the time. Court records reveal the shootout started after what appeared to be a harmless act. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager spoke to Long's family. Peyton.
Steve, and Ashley Long's family want her to be remembered as a career-oriented woman who had big dreams. Also, she was known as a glowing spirit and a loving friend and a loving daughter. In the immediate days after Ashley's murder, her family took to social media to spread awareness about this case. 2 weeks later, the suspect turned himself in to police. On a sunny Wednesday in downtown Dallas, stickers of 28-year-old Ashley Long are left along Main Street.
Her angel number was 444.
But on April 5th, it was a rainy night.
I'm still like in a fog. I just feel like I'm in a daze every day.
Ashley Long's family speaking for the first time since their daughter was murdered during a night out in Dallas. Long, a realtor visiting from the Richmond-Rosenberg area southwest of Houston. She and a group of friends left a downtown Dallas bar just after 2 a.m. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, surveillance video captured the shooting off Main Street. Police say a man Ashley was with reached out and brushed his hand along the passenger side of a passing Mercedes. The passenger of that car, later identified by detectives as 34-year-old Kendrick Finch, exited the Mercedes with a gun in his hand. The affidavit states a man with Ashley reached into her purse and pulled out his gun. That's when police say Finch opened fire, striking both Ashley and the man she was with. That man was able to fire back. Finch then took off. Ashley later died at the hospital. The man who she was with was also shot. He survived. Ashley's family left shocked when police revealed the details leading up to the shooting, also with a flurry of questions.
One of the first words from the detective was, if she would have been in a place 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after, this would have never happened. It literally was a random act. And that's what's so sickening.
According to police, a few hours after the shooting, Finch called officers and told them he was the passenger in the Mercedes. It wasn't until April 18th when Finch turned himself in after Dallas police put a call out to the public on social media. Video of the moment was captured by Smash the Topic. Ashley's family used this photo on social media to spread awareness and ensure the suspect was caught. A mission that's only beginning as they navigate life without Ashley.
I can't even text her because I text her every night. You know, good night, love you, and it's gone.
You've got Mother's Day. You've got Father's Day. We don't get to have that now.
Finch does have a criminal history, including drug charges and burglary. He remains in the Dallas County Jail this evening. His bond, $500,000. Steve?
All right, very sad story. Peyton Yeager in Dallas tonight, thank you.
A Fort Worth man told police that he was doing an exorcism when he killed his mother.
23-year-old Alexander Taylor Valdez is charged with murder. Documents say he told police he was doing witchcraft to kill her. Fox 4's Amelia Jones in with more. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, the details of this case are so horrifying that even Fort Worth police struggled to talk about it with me today, and neighbors tell me that now they feel unsafe. It was inside this quaint home on Farmers Branch Street that Fort Worth police made a gruesome discovery last Friday around 1:30 a.m. A woman and a dog were found murdered inside. The woman's son was covered in blood and holding a Bible when officers arrived.
Officers then took him into custody, asked him what happened. He then made an utterance that he was performing an exorcism on his mom.
According to arrest documents, 23-year-old Alexander Valdez sent a photo of the scene to a group of people on Snapchat. One of the people who opened it called police out of concern.
Thank God for people that perhaps knew this gentleman and then called us. We were able to get there to detain him.
Dana Adderley lives down the street. Her dogs woke her up that Friday morning.
I came outside and the people that he had sent the group text to were all down there. And this whole block was full of police officers.
Adderley doesn't know Valdez or his mother, 58-year-old Teresita Sayson, but she was shocked to find out the details of what happened.
You know that when they're saying it's an exorcism, you know they're disturbed. It's just they have, there's something more there.
Valdez didn't elaborate to detectives on why he killed his mom, but police say he told them he used witchcraft to kill her and that someone told him to do it. Detectives executing a search warrant found a broken jewelry box with blood in the room where Sayson's body was found. Valdez is now facing murder charges.
I know that their why is not going to be able to be answered, and so it'll take time, but again, this is something that just should never have happened. I'm going to keep saying that. It's just very gruesome.
And while neighbors like Adderley feel uneasy in the neighborhood, they're still praying for the family.
Pray that they'll find peace somehow.
Valdez is currently being held at the Tarrant County Jail. Fort Worth police told me today that additional charges could be coming in the death of the family's dog. Steve, Heather, back to you.
All right, Amelia, thank you.
4 News has obtained the arrest affidavit for the assault of Denton County Commissioner Bobbie Mitchell and the murder of her husband. Hello and good evening. I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. In the affidavit, investigators say their grandson broke into their house. Fox 4's Lori Brown live in Louisville with the story. Lori.
Heather, according to the police affidavit, when the first police officer arrived, screaming could still be heard from inside the Mitchells' home, and the suspect's car was parked in the driveway with the driver's side door open and the headlights still on.
Everybody knows Bobbie Mitchell. Everybody respects Bobbie Mitchell. And to have this happen, it's very difficult for all of us.
According to the arrest affidavit for Mitchell Blake Reinecker, the 911 call came in just before 4 a.m. Monday, but the dispatcher could only hear screaming in a struggle. According to the affidavit, when the officer arrived, she entered the front door and saw a man who was later identified as Reinecker standing in the hallway over the body of Fred Mitchell. He was transported to the hospital but did not survive. The officer placed Reinecker in handcuffs and detained him outside. She then found Commissioner Bobbie Mitchell inside with knife wounds. She stated her grandson broke into their house, stated he was going to kill them, went to the kitchen to get a knife, returned to their bedroom and began stabbing both her and her husband. Mitchell suffered injuries to her heart and had to undergo surgery. As of the last update, Mitchell was in critical care but expected to recover. Mitchell was the first black mayor of Louisville, serving from 1993 until 2000 when she was elected county commissioner. Monday night, people gathered to pray at Westside Baptist Church.
Few people in the history of Denton County have impacted people in the way that Bobbie Mitchell had. Person of incredible faith, a trailblazer.
Fred Mitchell was remembered as a faithful husband, happy for Bobbie to be the one in the spotlight.
Fred was never elected to office. He was never appointed to office, but he served because he shared his wife with the Denton County residents for over 30 years when Bobbie was on the city council and as mayor and now commissioner. We're so sorry to lose Fred Mitchell.
According to the affidavit, Reinecker had been living with the Mitchells since the end of last year, but they did see signs of forced entry, and with the car door open and the headlights on, police believe that he was trying to make a quick getaway. Heather.
All right, Lori Brown, thank you.
The man suspected of stealing from a Walmart in Wise County was shot and killed by police.
Yeah, this all happened just before 10 last night in Decatur. That's about 40 miles northwest of Fort Worth. Fox 4's Dan Godwin is in studio with the details. Dan.
And Paige, we're still waiting for more information about exactly what led up to this shooting last night in Decatur. But we do know one man is dead after being shot by police. Officers say they got a call about 9:40 p.m. regarding a theft in progress at the Walmart on U.S. Highway 81 in Decatur. Two officers responded, and they saw a 46-year-old man running from the store. The officers chased the man on foot. They caught up to him just south of the parking lot. During that encounter, the department says officers discharged their weapons, striking the suspect. The chief says those officers rendered medical aid. The man was then taken to the hospital where he died of his injuries. His identity is being withheld until family members are notified.
Both officers involved in the incident are okay, received no injuries during the incident. Both officers have been placed on administrative leave, which is normal departmental policy, pending the outcome of the investigation.
The chief didn't give any information about what prompted the officers to fire their weapons. He said police body camera video will be reviewed as part of the investigation. That inquiry will be conducted by the Texas Rangers. The chief said there had been someone waiting for the suspect in a vehicle in the parking lot, but that person left the scene in their vehicle and is still at large. However, the chief told us investigators know the identity of that second person and an effort is underway to arrest them. Dan Godwin on Good Day.
Judge denied a bond reduction for the 17-year-old accused of shooting multiple people at Wilmer Hutchins High School. Investigators say Tracy Haynes shot 4 people at the school.
New information and new video was shared in court. Fox 4's Stephen Dial is live with more. Stephen.
The prosecution showed multiple angles of that school shooting that injured multiple people, and the suspect's cousin testified saying that he spoke to him before the shooting, saying that he had to do something before the end of school that day.
And that would be your cousin, Tracy, is that correct?
New video was shown in court from last week's shooting at Wilmer Hutchins High School. In the video, you see who investigators say is 17-year-old Tracy Haynes. The prosecution said he had a .40 caliber handgun with an extended clip. The Dallas ISD police chief says that Haynes was let inside from someone opening a side door to the school.
Do you know where Tracy would have gotten the weapon from? Oh, no, ma'am. Okay. Would it surprise you that the weapon that was used in the Wilmer Hutchins shooting also came back to an offense? It's connected to an offense that happened at the family house? So it was the same gun that was used. Would that shock you? I'm not aware of that, ma'am.
Haynes' cousin and aunt testified at a bond reduction hearing Monday. In court, the prosecution said one of the victims was a teacher who was grazed by a bullet.
When your cousin goes in there and targets specific individuals, whether they be 5K or not, that has an impact on everyone involved. Is that correct?
A judge denied reducing Haynes' bond of $3.1 million for all 6 aggravated assault charges.
Mr. Haynes was not firing indiscriminately at other students. He specifically shot at the young man that threatened him and his family.
His attorney talked about the person Haynes allegedly stood over in the video with a gun, saying it was a gang member.
What did he say to you?
He said, I love y'all. I don't want nothing bad to happen to y'all, so I had to do something before 4:30.
After court, I asked Haynes' aunt if she had any comment.
It's still an ongoing investigation. We love our family member. We're standing here in solidarity for Tracy. To glory be the God, God be the glory.
And Haynes' attorney said in court that he has a heart condition. He's in the infirmary part of that jail. According to the prosecution, at least one victim is still in the hospital.
Stephen Dial, thank you.
This week, Trackdown highlighted a suspect who terrorized a Fort Worth McDonald's and fired at an employee during a robbery attempt. He got away with no money, but last night, Fort Worth police got him. Fox 4's Sean Rabb reports a 16-year-old was taken into custody for McDonald's mayhem, and he's linked to many similar crimes.
This was the video shown in this week's Trackdown. A person dressed in black, wearing a ski mask, comes into a Fort Worth McDonald's April 10th, 9 p.m., demanding money from an employee at the cash register, and fires one shot near the employee. Customers crawling under tables for cover, others getting out of the store. Wednesday, we talked with Fort Worth Police robbery detective Brian Rainsford.
It is very violent, and it's very disturbing to watch.
Last night, the would-be robber, who fired the gun with his left hand but handled the weapon with both hands during the frightening few minutes in the McDonald's, taken into custody by Fort Worth police. While this may have been the 16-year-old's first attempt at robbing a restaurant with people in it, police say he's terrorized workers in other businesses like stores across Fort Worth, and multiple offenses have been linked to his actions. Even as the case was shown on Trackdown, Fort Worth detectives had been working for weeks to find him, a high-intensity priority because of the obvious danger to working people trying to make an honest living.
This is a violent individual. He fired shots during a robbery in a restaurant full of people on a weeknight at 9 o'clock in the evening.
Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News.
Great work just hours after we featured that on Fox 4 News. The man is in custody. Police also say they recovered evidence connecting that teenager to several crimes, including the weapon used, and they want to thank the public for all the help and support. Trackdown has helped with the arrest of 197 people for crimes committed in North Texas. You can watch past Trackdown stories right now and maybe help solve even more crimes. Go to the Fox 4 YouTube page, youtube.com/Fox 4.
The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office is searching for a man accused of opening fire inside of a smoke shop. Surveillance footage shows the moments that man shot into the ceiling while demanding cash. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is live tonight with more on that crazy video and who cops are looking for. Peyton?
Casey, the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office put that call out to the public today. Investigators believe the same suspect hit the same smoke shop twice in less than a week. Both times he got away with cash. Take a look. An Azle smoke shop clerk closing for the night at 1 a.m. April 18th, startled when an armed suspect in a hood walks in. The clerk held at gunpoint and told to hand over money. The armed suspect fires a few times towards the wall, and then as the clerk is placing bills on the counter,
He shoots one round right at the camera up in the corner. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office says the suspect went to the back room to look for more cash before he took off. Since the Friday robbery, Top Smoke off FM 730 has been closed, according to nearby businesses. Some of those businesses have pictures of the suspect on their doors, hoping he's caught. Investigators tell Fox 4 Top Smoke Shop has been robbed twice in less than a week by who they believe to be the same suspect. This daytime surveillance video is from a bar next door. On April 12th at 10 a.m., a man in dark-colored clothing grabs a gun out of his backpack and robs the smoke shop. A few minutes later, the suspect leaves with cash, according to deputies.
The robbery was successful the first time. He just did not indicate the amount of violence that he did with the weapon the second time.
With the concern the suspect is escalating in violence, the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office is now asking the public to help identify this man.
We believe he's dangerous. There are a couple of video sections where you can get a clear view of his face. We believe that somebody knows who he is.
Investigators also tell me, Casey, both times the suspect came and left on foot. So investigators believe there's a high chance he lives in that area in Azle. If you know anything, you're asked to contact the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. Casey?
Yes, hopefully somebody recognizes that person and they can call police and get him behind bars. Peyton Yeager live for us tonight. Peyton, thank you.